Hi everyone and welcome to week 8 of your English course. Week 8 is halfway through, it's the middle of your course. So this week is what I call our review week. So entry level 1 and entry level 2, this lesson is for both of you this week because the homework will be similar. Entry level 2 will get slightly different grammar test than entry level 1, and the information I'm going to give you will be similar for both entry level 1 and entry level 2 because it's our review week, okay? Because we're in the middle of the course now, so I have to review how you're doing, how you are, what improvements you're making, what you've learnt, what you haven't learnt, okay? So that's what we're doing this week. So we're still going to do our spellings, so there'll be 2 lots of spellings. For entry level 1, there'll be your spellings. Entry level 2, there'll be your spelling test. So only obviously do your spelling test. You can do the other one as well if you like, but you don't have to. And then there'll be some new spellings, but the new spellings are for both entry level 1 and entry level 2 because they're not very difficult spellings, but they're very important words. So yeah, your new spellings will be the same for both levels, okay? We're then going to look at the past simple because both of you have been doing the past simple for the last week or 2, both entry level 1 and entry level 2. So we're going to go over the past simple. We're going to look at the positives, the negatives, and the questions in the past simple. So we're going to do that today. And then for your homework, you've got a grammar test which will look at the present simple, the future simple, and the past simple. And if you're entry level 2, it'll look at the future with going to as well. Okay, so your test will be slightly different. And then you're going to prepare for your 8-week review with me. So we will do a review on video and you are going to prepare for that by answering some questions first for your homework before we have our video chat. Okay, so that's what we're doing today. So this video is for both entry level 1 and entry level 2. Your homework will be slightly different. Obviously entry level 2 a little bit harder grammar test than entry level 1. And your spelling test will be different. But your spellings for next week will be the same as each other. Okay, so hopefully that'll make sense as we go through. So I'm going to start with entry level 1's spellings, okay? Okay, so these are the spellings for entry level 1 learners. So if you're entry level 2, you can fast forward. You can go past this bit to the next, to your spellings. Although you can do them also. It's good practice. So you can do these because some of these spellings are difficult. So if you want to do them, feel free to do them. Okay, so I've got 10 spellings. And I'm going to say the word, say a sentence, and say the word again, and then I'd like you to spell it, okay, on your paper. Okay, so number 1, should. Should I go to the party? Should. How do you spell should? Should I go to the party? Yes, you should. Should. Number 2, would. Would you like a drink? Would. How do you spell would? Would you like a drink? Number 3, could. Could you turn off the light, please? Could. Could you turn off the light, please? Could. How do you spell could? Number 4, good. You got a very good mark in your spellings. You got 9 out of 10. Good. How do you spell good? Number 5, wood. Can you collect some wood to make a fire? Can you collect some wood to make a fire? Wood. How do you spell wood? Number 6, night. There are many stars in the sky tonight. Night. How do you spell night? Number 7, right. This is my right hand. Right. How do you spell right? Number 8, write. Can you write down your name and address for me, please? Write. How do you spell right? That was number 8. Number 9, light. Turn off the light, please. Light. How do you spell light? Number 10, high. That mountain is very high. How do you spell high? Okay, that's just spellings. I'm just going to pop them on the board. So this is entry level 1 spellings. Okay, so let's have a look how you did. How many did you get out of 10? Let me know, how did you do? So, number 1 was should, S-H-O-U-L-D, should. Number 2 was would, W-O-U-L-D. Number 3 was could, C-O-U-L-D. Number 4 was good, G-O-O-D. Number 5 was would, W-O-O-D. So would and would, and could and good. So sound, isn't it? That sound. Number 6, night, N-I-G-H-T. Number 7, right, R-I-G-H-T. Number 8, right, W-R-I-T-E. Number 9, light, L-I-G-H-T. And number 10, high, H-I-G-H. How did you do? How many did you get out of 10? Let me know how you did. Did you get 5, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9? Did you get 10 out of 10? Okay, so let me know. So now we're just going to do the entry level 2 spellings. So entry level 2, this is for you. Entry level 1, you can go past this if you like, or you can try to do the spellings as well, because it's good for you to practice anyway, so it won't do you any harm. Okay, so for entry level 2, these are your 10 spellings. Okay, so number 1, question. Ask me a question. Question. How do you spell question? Number 2, action. I love action movies. Action. How do you spell action? Number 3, position. What position did you come in the race? Position. How do you spell position? Number 4, station. Can you drop me off at the train station, please? Station. How do you spell station? Number 5, infection. I have a nasty infection in my tooth. Infection. How do you spell infection? Number 6, weight. The weight of this bag is very heavy. Weight. How do you spell weight? The weight of this bag is very heavy. Number 7, blue. The past of blow is blew. I blew out the candles. Blue. How do you spell blue? Number 8, Wednesday. Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday. Number 9, February. How do you spell February? Number 10, their. Their house is very small. Their. Their house is very small. Their. How do you spell their? Okay, if you need to listen again, then obviously go back and listen again. I'm going to put the answers up on the board. Okay, so let's see how you did out of 10. How many did you get right? Let's see. So number 1 was question. 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 Number 2 was action. Action. So that shun sound, remember? Tion. Number 3, position. Position. Number 4, station. Station. Number 5, infection. Infection. Number 6, weight. Weight. Number 7, blew. The past of blow. Blew. Blew. Number 8, Wednesday. Don't forget capital letter, day of the week. Wednesday. Wednesday. Number 9, February. Capital F. February. 10, there. Their. That one. That kind of there. So how many did you get? Did you get 10 out of 10? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5? Let me know how you did, okay? Well done, brilliant. Right, now we're going to look at this week's spellings. Okay, so these spellings are for both entry level 1 and entry level 2 for next week. Now they're easy spellings really. They're not difficult. You should know these words and you should be able to spell them. They're not too difficult. But I would say when people speak English, when they're learning English, so English is not your first language, people make mistakes with these words a lot at all levels, from low level to high level. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make, is using these words. Okay, so that's why I wanted to go through them, and that's why I wanted to go through with both levels, because it's something you need to learn. Whatever level, most people make mistakes. Even the really high level learners, they make mistakes with these. I find when I meet them, they're still making mistakes with these. So I think it's something important to learn now when you're lower level. So by the time you get to high level, you should have understood the difference between these words and when we use them. So I'm just gonna close that a minute. Is that better? No, still. That's better. Okay, so we're going to go through these words and then we're going to see how we use them. All right, so number 1 is any, A-N-Y, any. Number 2 is many, M-A-N-Y. Number 3 is much, M-U-C-H. Number 4 is some, S-O-M-E. Number 5, none, N-O-N-E. Number 6, lot, L-O-T. Number 7, little, L-I-T-T-L-E. So some of these you will know how to spell already, you'll know the spellings, but it's when we use them that's really tricky, so that's what I'm going to go through now, okay? Okay, so let's start with any. These words, any, many, much, some, it's all about quantity, how much of something, okay? How much of something we have. Now, any is very strange because we only use it with questions and negative sentences. We don't use it with positive sentences. We do not say, I have any sweets. I have any sweets. We do not, no positive, only with negatives and questions only. Okay, so that's really important that we remember that. We also use it for countable and uncountable nouns. Now this is really important that you understand what countable and uncountable nouns are. Nouns, just make sure you understand nouns first. Nouns are objects or things or people or places, you know, like things that we can see, things we can touch, like a blackboard, a pen, a cushion, a piece of paper, a computer, a phone, a dress, a cardigan, a belt. Me. I'm a noun, I'm a thing. Okay, so that's what nouns are, things we can touch, things that have atoms, yeah? Countable and uncountable. Countable nouns are things we can make plural. They have an S on the end. So like, let's do countable nouns in red. Pens, books, tables, there's lots of the other things in it now. Sweets, trees. They are things that we make plural, so they change when there's more than one. We have one pen, two pens. Okay, one pen, two pens. So countable nouns, they change. They don't just have to have an S. They could also just change words. So for example, one child, two children. One person, two people. So if the word changes when there's more than one, when there's two or more, this is a countable noun because we can count them. One person, two people, three people, four people, one book, two books, three books. We can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, uncountable nouns, they don't change. Singular, plural, they stay the same. So, for example, bread, wine, oil, water, sheep. Strange, sheep is another one. Sheep, bread, wine, sheep, bread, wine, oil, water. There's lots more, but that'll do for now. Wine, oil, water. Often it's a liquids are often uncountable. You know, things like oil, milk. So uncountable nouns, we have one sheep, two sheep. It stays the same. Bread, we can't really count bread. Bread is just bread. Flour is another one. We don't have breads, many breads. No, just bread. Bread is just a thing. We don't say how many. We can have one loaf of bread, two loaves of bread. Wine, we don't have wines. We don't have one wine, two wines, three wines. Actually, sheep is countable, but we just don't pluralise it. Sorry, let's leave sheep out because we can count sheep. We can't count wine because it's a liquid. Oil, it's a liquid. We can't count it because it's liquid. Does that make sense? Water, milk, flour, butter. Things that we can't count because they're just a quantity of something. They're not individual things you can count. Does that make sense? And it doesn't matter how much we have. We don't add an S or anything. I don't know whether you can see down there. So those are uncountable nouns. Bread, wine, oil, water, milk, flour, sugar. Okay, they are uncountable. We can't count them. They're not individual things. Yes, we can have a bottle of wine, 2 bottles of wine, because bottles are countable, but wine's not countable because it's a liquid. It's not You can't, the bottles are countable, but not the wine. Hopefully that makes sense. So those are uncountable nouns. So we've got countable and uncountable nouns. Now, any can be used with countable and uncountable nouns. So it can be used for both, but only for questions and negatives. So for example, do you have any bread? Does she have any potatoes? So there's our uncountable noun. There's our countable noun. Potatoes, 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4. We can count our potatoes. They're individual items. Bread we can't count. Well, I mean, we can, but only in loaves of bread. So any, we ask with questions. Do you have any? It's like some. Do you have some? You know, how much do you have? Do you have any? Have you got some? It's the same kind of thing. And we can use it for negatives. I don't have any children. She doesn't have any biscuits. And those are both countable nouns. Child, children, that's the plural. Biscuits, that's the plural, both countable nouns. Most nouns are countable. So with negatives, I don't have any. That means I don't have any means I have none. There are none, okay? I don't have any children. No children. No children at all. 0. She doesn't have any biscuits. 0 biscuits. No biscuits. There are none. That's what it means. I don't have any means I have nothing. Okay? Nothing. I don't have any. Do you have any means do you have some? It's like some. It's like asking some. It's the same. Do you have some? Do you have any? But we tend to, in questions, we tend to ask any, not some. It's just better English. It's just, it sounds better, really. So any, we use with questions, we use it with negatives, and we use it with all nouns, okay? Countable and uncountable. All right, so whichever one you want, you can use it. So that's any. But we do not say, I have any children. That's wrong. I have any children. We cannot use any for positive sentences. Only questions and negatives. Questions, negative sentences. And when we use it in negative, it means none. And when we use it in questions, it's kind of similar to some. You know, do you have some? Do you have a bit, a little, some? Okay, sort of similar. Okay, but in negatives it means none. I don't have any. It means none. Okay, so that's any. Right. Let me just pause and get the next one up, otherwise we're going to waste video. Okay, so let's just look at some now. Some we use for positives. And we can use it for questions, but usually we use any. But we can use it for questions, but any is better. Do you have any bread? Do you have any bananas? Do you have some bananas? Do you have some bread? Any is a better question, but we can use some. But any is better. So some we use for positives. Where we use any for negatives, we use some for positives. So I have some bread. They had some pizza. She gave him some money. So we use it for countable and uncountable, so all nouns. The reason I've put pizza here half and half is because sometimes we class pizza as uncountable. I ate too much pizza. We're not counting, we're just talking about pizza as a quantity. But sometimes when we're ordering pizzas, I want 4 pizzas, please. So we use it for both countable and uncountable. It's a bit crazy, but. So all nouns, for positives, we use some. I have some. It means I have some. I have some bread, I have some pizza. She gave him some money, not too much, not too little. She gave him some, yeah? And we can use it in questions. Do you have some bread? Do you have some bananas? But often we use any instead. Do you have any bread? Do you have any bananas? Often that is more popular to use any in questions. So some is mostly for positives, okay? Mostly for positives. I have some. All right? So that's some. Okay, so let's have a look at many. So many we can use for positives, negatives, and questions, but only countable nouns. Only countable nouns, okay? Not uncountable nouns. And this is where people get very confused here because they use many and much for, just randomly. But many is only countable nouns. So those things that have a plural that we can count, 1, 2, 3, 4. But we can use it for positives, negatives, and questions. So she has many friends. Friends is countable. 1 friend, 2 friends, 3 friends. Get an S on the end. They have many books. Okay, they have many books. I don't have many shoes. He doesn't have many friends. Do you have many clothes? Does she have many pets? So positives, negatives, questions. All right, so we can use it for all, but only countable nouns. Friends, books, shoes, friends, clothes, pets. All got an S on the end, or the word changes when it's plural. Okay, so she has many means a lot. Yeah, if you have many of something, it means you have a lot of something. So she has many friends means a lot of friends. Okay, she has many friends. He doesn't have many means he has not a lot, not only a few, just 2 or 3, not many, not much. Okay, so he doesn't have many. So many means like extra, plus, 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 and not many means just a small amount, a little, a few, okay? And do you have many? It means do you have a lot? Does she have many? Does she have a lot of pets? No, she doesn't. Yes, she does. Okay, so many, positives, negatives, questions, countable nouns only. Really important, that bit. Okay, so we're on to much. Much. So much, mostly we use with negatives. Okay, we can use it with questions, but we use it with how much. How much. We don't say, do you have much? We would say, do you have any? Okay, we don't say, do you have much? It's not good English. So we use it for negatives, and we use it with how questions. How much. We use it for uncountable nouns. Uncountable. So many we use for countable nouns. Much, uncountable. So I don't have much bread. He didn't have much luck. She doesn't have much flour. How much flour do you have? How much bread does she have? How much does it cost? So we're talking about money here, which is uncountable. How much do you weigh? So we're talking about weight here. So uncountable, we don't count weight. I weigh however much. So how much does it cost? How much do you weigh? How much bread does she have? How much flour do you have? And then negatives. I don't have much, but with uncountable nouns. Okay? If it was countable, it would be how many children do you have? How many books do you have? Okay, we can use many with how, and we can use it with do and everything else, but we don't with much. We tend to use it only with how. Okay, you can say, do you have much time, but it's less how much time do you have is more popular. So try to just remember to use it with how. So yeah, that's much, okay? Okay, last bit here, a lot of. So lot of we use with positives, negatives and questions for countable and uncountable. I have a lot of children. I have a lot of wine. Do you have a lot of jobs? I don't have a lot of hair. Okay, so we can use it for countable and uncountable for positives, negatives and questions. It means do you have a lot of, do you have much, many, okay? A little we use with positives and uncountable. So I have a little bread, it means a little. I have a little bread. I have a little wine. I have a little oil, it means I have a little bit left. Do you have any bread? Oh, I have a little, not much, a little, okay? So we use it with uncountable positives. You can use it in questions. Do you have a little bread? But we would say, do you have any? We would use any for uncountable nouns questions. Do you have any bread? I have a little. I have a lot. Yeah, I have a lot of bread. I have a little bread. Yes, I have a little. Okay, it means I have just a small amount. So, these are quite complicated. Any, some, many, much, lot, and little. They're all quite complicated, but they're really important to learn because people get them wrong all the time when they're speaking English. You know, I have many children. I don't have many children. I have many friends. I don't have many friends. Not I have much children. It's wrong. And people get that confused and it's really easy to make that mistake. So I really want you to study this if you have time. You'll get some practice in your homework, in your grammar test of this as well, but we'll be practicing it across the next few weeks over and over again a little bit so that hopefully you get used to it. But try to study it. What I want you to do with the spellings, how many were there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I didn't look at none. None. Hang on, 1 minute. I forgot none. Hang on. Okay, sorry, I forgot to talk about none. None, N-O-N-E, none, it is a negative statement on its own. Okay, and we use it to talk about countable and uncountable nouns. So somebody says, do you have any bread? I have none. 0. Okay, none means 0. Same as I don't have any, it means the same thing, but we just say I have none. We don't say I have none bread. This is incorrect. It's on its own. It stays on its own. We don't put another noun with it. I have none. Do you have any children? None. None. Okay, I don't have any children, or I have none, but we don't put the children in there. Okay, it stands on its own as a negative statement. None. I have none. Do you have any wine? I have none. Bad times. Do you have any biscuits? I have none. None. No biscuits. Okay? So none is a negative statement on its own, just like this. I have none. Or we say none. Nothing else. Okay? Right, so as I was saying, what I want you to do is I want you to take those any, many, much, some, none, lot and little, those 7 words, and I want you to make some sentences with them, talking about things you have many, much, none, any. You can do questions, you can do positives, negatives, etc. So make some sentences using those because we need to get good at using them, and then there'll be some in the grammar test as well for you. So, okay. Right, okay, so we're just going to quickly go over the past simple because I know we've been doing it both entry level 1 and entry level 2, and it's really tricky, the past simple, to learn all the different endings. So I just want to go over quickly the positive, negatives and questions just quickly, okay, and you'll get some practice in the grammar test as well. So regular verbs, we just add ed or ied or just d, but we add that ending. So here's our verb. Play becomes played. Pronunciation's so important. Played. Watch. Watched. Watched. Not watched. Watched. Ask, asked, asked. Carry, carried. And we remove the Y here because consonant and Y, we remove the Y, put IED. Vowel, Y, we just add ED. Carry, carried. Talk, talked. So some of these ED endings have a D sound and some have a T sound at the end. So played, D, played. Watched, T, watched. Asked, T. Carried, D, and talked, T, T. So some have a D and some have a T ending, but they don't have an ed. Watch ed is wrong, or play ed, or carry ed, or talk ed is wrong. All right, D or T ending. And whether it's I, you, he, she, they, we, it's all the same. All the same for regular verbs. I played, you played, he played, she played, they played, we played. Okay, it's all the same for regular verbs in the past. Just add ed to the verb. Yesterday I played football. Yesterday you played football. Yesterday he played football. Okay? So, okay, and then remember we've got irregular verbs and they completely change in the past. So go becomes went. Be become were or was. Only be has two in the past. Everything else just has one. Okay? Only be has two. So be, were is with you, they and we. You were, they were, we were. Was is with I, he, she, it. I was, he was, she was, it was. Drive becomes drove. Eat becomes ate. So it's only be that has two different ones depending on the subject. Okay? But the others just have one. Go is always went with I, he, she, it, they, we. It's always went. Drive is always drove. Eat is always ate. Okay, so I went to work. You were angry. He was tired. She drove to school. They ate pizza. These are irregular verbs. Okay, and they change. We don't add ed. They change. Okay. Okay, so negatives, we add did not to the sentence or didn't. Did not or didn't is the short form. Except for the verb be. For the verb be, we don't add did not. We just use weren't and wasn't. So we'll look at that in a minute. But all other verbs, we just add did not. So, for example, the positive sentence, I drove to school yesterday. I did not drive to school yesterday. Now we've added did not and we've changed drove back to its base form of drive because we've got the past of do here, did. So this shows its past. Did shows its past. I did not. Not I do not, I did not. So this verb goes back to the base form of the verb. I did not drive. Because that's our past, did. The past of do is did. She played football. She did not play, didn't play, did not play. She played football. She didn't play. So played goes back to play because we've added did not. Okay, this is where some of you are making mistakes last week with doing this. Those that were doing negatives. And it's quite tricky, isn't it? It's quite tricky. So you have to remember that we go back to the base form of the verb. It's not I did not drove because we've got did, which is the past of do. So we've got it shows it's a past sentence. I did not drive. She did not play. She played. She did not play. Okay, so we add did not or didn't, as we like to say. Didn't. She didn't play football last weekend. She didn't drive to school. Okay, but positive, it would be I drove. She played. All right, now with be. Okay, now with be, we don't add did not. We just change was to was not or wasn't. It's the short wasn't. I was tired. I was not tired. I wasn't tired. They were happy. They weren't happy. Weren't or were not. They weren't happy. So with be, the verb to be, we just add not after was and were. Okay? We don't use did. That's with all other verbs we use did, but not with be. Not with was and were. Okay? Very complicated, I know, but that's negatives. Now with questions, it's the same as negatives really. With all verbs, we put did. Did you play? And that goes back to the base form of the verb, not played, play. Because we've got our past here, did. The past of do is did. So did you play football last week? Did she go to school yesterday? So with questions, we use did and the base form of the verb, except for be. Be, which is were and was, we just use were and was. Were you tired? Was she angry? I were, you were, they were, we were, he was, she was, it was, I was. Okay, so with be, the verb be, we don't add did. We use were and was. But with the other verbs, we use did. And the base form of the verb, did you play, did you go, did you drive, did you buy? Did you buy a car last week? Did you drive to Southampton yesterday? Okay, but this must go back to the base form of the verb because we've got the past here with did. Did is a past verb, so we have it already. Okay, so past simple tense, quite complicated, just needs lots of practice really, needs lots and lots of practice. And we will be practicing it along with everything else for the next 8 weeks. So you will get practice. Now, for today's homework, you're going to get a grammar test. Okay, so there's a test attached to this email and it's a grammar test and it's on the past simple, the future simple, and the present simple, and going to for the future if you're entry level 2 as well. And there'll be some stuff with any, much more, some as well in there. So that grammar test you have to do. We will be practicing more of the past simple in the following weeks. So if you feel like you haven't done enough of that, don't worry, we will be practicing it. Also, like I said, we need to do a review on the video chat on WhatsApp or Zoom or whatever. We need to fill in your review form. So I'm going to send you some questions about your review. And the questions will be asking you, what have you learnt? What do you feel you have improved in? What have you got better at? And what things have you not got better at? What things do you still need to learn? Do you still want to learn? What more things do you want to learn for the next 8 weeks? There are also some health and safety questions on there because in the review we have to talk about health and safety. There's also some questions, very strange questions about British values. British values are about understanding the law and the way that Britain as a country works. So there's some questions in there about that because you have to do them in your review too. There's also some questions about something called prevent. Prevent is a government policy about terrorism. And you have to understand prevent. So there's a question about that in there. There's also some questions about equality and diversity. So equality and diversity are all about being nice and being kind to everyone. If they're a girl, if they're a boy, if they're old, if they're young, if they are disabled, if they are black, if they are from a different country, if they have a different religion. It's about being kind and nice to everyone. Okay, so there's some questions and some information about equality and diversity in there too, because you have to talk about that in your review. So there's some work to prepare you for our review. So I want you to do that, and there's a grammar test. I want you to do that. And I want you to make sure you learn your any, much more, maybe write some sentences of those. I think that's everything. It's quite a lot. And then organise, so you have 7 days, and then organise a video call with me to do our review. And I will fill in your review form for you, okay? You remember you did a review right at the beginning. You would have done it either with me or with Tom or with Kelsey. So you did a review form right back at the beginning of your course. And now we have to do another one because we're in the middle of your course now. Week 8 is the middle, so we have to do another one. And then we have to do one at the end on week 16 as well. Crazy, huh? Have to do all these reviews, but because the government are helping to pay for your course, we have to do reviews for the government to show your learning, okay? So I will help you fill in your review form when we do our video chat, but I want you to read the information and write some ideas down. If you can. If you can't understand it too much, don't worry, just try your best. And good luck with the grammar test as well. It's multiple choice, so you choose just one answer. Okay, there'll be many answers, you choose just the correct answer, one answer. Yeah, any problems then obviously call me. Anything you don't understand, then let me know, because I know it's quite a lot of information this week to take in. All right, it's lovely to see you as always, and I'll speak to you all soon. Have a great week. Bye.